Hey, what is going on guys? It is Young here and today I'm back in our Fortnite video, and in today's video I have some tips and tricks when it comes to build fights in Fortnite, and just to give you guys some tips on how to win them and exactly how to play them, and I have a pretty good gameplay that is going to be showcasing that exactly. And before we get into the video, I have a V-Buck giveaway. If you guys want a chance to win some free V-Bucks, all you need to do is to drop a like on this video, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, turn on my notifications, and leave a comment down below of your Xbox gamer tag, your PSN gamer tag, or Epic account. And as well, if you guys don't already, make sure you guys have me added and supported as a creator. It's super simple to do. All you need to do is go to the item shop, then just tap X and hit support a creator, and then type in my code. It's the same as my gamer tag. Just type in Young Humor and you will have me added and supported as a creator. And alright guys, let's get right to the video. Alright, so in this video, I'm going to give you guys some tips and tricks when it comes to build fighting in Fortnite. And in this gameplay here, I did run into a pretty big build fight at the end, but starting out, I really didn't start out too great. I just opened the chest and got an infantry rifle, which honestly is one of the worst. I would say it's even the worst gun in the game. It is so bad, and I was going up against a guy with a tac shotgun, and of course, there was no chance of me winning that gunfight. I am getting knocked, but thankfully, for whatever reason, he didn't end up thirsting me, so my teammate was able to get the revive on me, and I was able to have a pretty good gameplay. I ended up with like 16 kills or so, but at the end of the gameplay, like I said, I ran into a pretty big build fight where I had to take out, I would say, 4 or 5 people, or maybe I think it was like maybe even 6 people I had to take out in order to win the game. So in this gameplay here, as you guys can see, I am playing in squads, and I honestly think squads is one of the biggest game modes that you need to learn how to build fight. And the reason being is because in squads, you always want to try to have high ground as much as possible, and if you're getting sprayed at by 2 or 3 or even 4 people at the exact same time, if you don't have high ground, you're going to have a very difficult chance of getting any shots off at all, or maybe just even be able to win that fight because you're going to get lasered from multiple angles, and you're going to be getting drained of your HP and your mats pretty quickly. And that's true when it comes to solos or duos. You can most of the time get away with playing low ground, but in squads it's very difficult because if you're going against those multiple players, playing low ground is going to be very difficult. I mean, you might be able to get off a shot or two, but you're not going to be able to win every single fight from low ground on squads. So being able to get high ground, and not even just getting high ground or even build fighting, it's being efficient with it too, just being able to pick off the enemies and just not having a huge gunfight where you're just burning through your entire mag count and you're really not going to pick up any kills at all. So I would definitely have to say squads would be the best game mode to practice build fights and just winning more fights like that in general, because you're going to find that most people trying to build fight in squads than any other game modes. I don't really know exactly why this is, but I ran into so many more build fights when I'm playing in squads than I do when I play solos or duos. I mean, of course it happens all the time when I'm playing solos and duos, but I feel like in the squads game mode, I feel like I just run into even more build fights, or at least a build fight every single game. So it is a good way to practice, because it's a lot different playing a 1v1 than a build fight in game. And the reason being, if you're just playing a bunch of 1v1s in playground or a bunch of 1v1s in creative, it is good for practicing build fights, but at the same time, it's not, it's not going to be the exact same, because in game a lot of players aren't going to be too much overbuilding. I mean, you're going to run into some of the people who build too much high, but I mean, for the most part, they're not going to be just camping 5 stories above you, just for the reason being, if you knock them down, then they're going to be taking a lot of fall damage, so they're going to be very cautious of that, and they're not going to be building too high. And if you have redeploy gliders, like I said in a lot of my videos, then you can be that player who can just sit 4 or even 5 stories above the other players and get a ton of shots on them. But of course, when you're playing against other players, and unless you're running into a 1v4, you really don't want to be that high up. So when it comes to build fights, the one thing that I do, and the one thing that a lot of players need to do if they want to get really good and really efficient at winning more build fights, is you don't want to focus more on building. You really want to focus more on getting shots. I really think that's the most important concept when it comes to build fighting and just winning against multiple players in squads, is you really want to focus on getting high ground first, or not even getting high ground, at least get at the same level with them, and then always try to look for opportunities to get shot. Because if you're just trying to focus on keep building and building and building, eventually you're not going to be able to get shots, and you're going to be missing a lot of opportunities where you could have been hitting them for 100 damage plus with your shotgun. So always try to look for opportunities when you're build fighting, because if not, then you're just going to keep building and you're going to be burning through mats, and eventually you're just going to get knocked down from his teammates that are just camping at the bottom with grenade launchers or just dynamite or just anything, just knocking the whole thing down. So just always looking for shots is going to be the #1 thing that you guys need to do if you want to win more build fights, and really just to win more fights in general without burning through a ton of mats, losing a ton of HP, because the longer you drag the gunfight on, the more chances they have of hitting you, and the more mats you're going to lose in that fight. And for right here, when I'm going into this fight, it's pretty much the perfect way. And when it comes to playing, when you're going to build fights or maybe even in a squad game, what I did is I went on the left side first. And the reason why I went on the left side first, there was more people in the middle, and if I would have went to the middle, the guy on the left would have been spraying at me the entire time. So me going all the way to the left side instead of just going into the middle pretty much made it so I can only get shot from that one direction, which is from the middle. So if I go to the far side, there's nobody even further than that, which means I'm not going to be getting shot from multiple angles. So when you're fighting against multiple players, if you can at all costs just try to keep them coming from the same direction, then you definitely want to do that. Otherwise, you're going to have something like right here where I'm getting spammed by so many different directions, so many different people I literally couldn't even see. And if you think it was bad, then you should have seen it when I was playing in real time. I really couldn't see anything. I was getting spammed from every single direction. I couldn't see anything, and it was just a really bad spot. So I end up getting out of there. I use my redeploys to get out, and I get quite a few tags on this player. So I go for the push immediately because the storm was coming in. I get the knock on this player. I go for the thirst, get his mats, get his HP, and then so here the storm is still coming in. I want to go for the push on this player here. And when you're going against multiple players in a build fight, you want to try to get the first knock as quick as possible, because if not, the gunfight's going to be very hard to fight against 4 other players. And my rule of thumb when it comes to fighting against multiple players is pretty much if you're fighting against multiple players in a build fight, maybe in a squad game, what I would do is the more people that are alive, the faster you have to play. And if you're only fighting 1 or 2 people, so you say you get knocked and kill on 2 other players, and so there's only 2 other players left, then I would say you can have a little bit more time. You can play a little bit slower and buy yourself some time, because otherwise, if you're getting sprayed by 4 people, you really have to get a knock as quick as possible, because if you don't, getting shot from 4 people is going to be such a downfall for anybody in this game, especially me. If I'm going against 4 players, I really want to try to get a knock as quick as possible, because once you get that knock, of course, at least one of their players is going to go, try to revive them. So just as long as you can get 1 knock or at least 1 elimination, it's going to make it that much easier to win that fight. So here I am launching into the last few teams, and the first thing that I go for is I just go for the easiest kill and the easiest spot to land at. If you're going into a fight like this, you always want to try to go for high ground initially, at least as much as you can. So building up, placing a launch pad, doing anything you can to get high ground is going to be the best way to go. So I ended up getting the knock on this player, and there were so many other people around. I put a floor above me right there, so when I went for the thirst, I wasn't going to get lasered from other teams. So the key thing that you guys are going to see me do, and the key thing that I'm doing in fights, is I'm getting 1 shot, I'm going for a build, and then I'm going for a shot and a build. And every time that I go for a shot, I go for high ground once again. So I'm constantly getting shots off, and I'm constantly going for high ground, because you really almost never want to give up your high ground for shots unless you know for sure that you're going to be able to get the knock on them, or at least do a lot of damage. Otherwise, it's not really worth it, and it's just too risky. You're going to lose a lot of HP. And it was honestly kind of strange to have the other players in the lobby. There was a launch pad, I'm not really sure exactly where it was, but they were just constantly just launching up, and they were launching around. So I got 1 shot on this player, and I go for another shot on him. And I was lucky enough he didn't build a wall when I jump up for the second shot. But say if he were to build that wall there, all I would do is I would place my floor, and then I would place my ramp, and then keep building up. So right there, as you can see, I went for the shot. And even if I wasn't able to hit the shot like I said, I could still build up in that fight and keep going for high ground. And that's really how you want to play it. You always want to try to look for shots, but if you're not able to get the shot, it doesn't really matter because you're still able to build. So pretty much it's a mix of just trying to build and also trying to get shots every single time that you build, because you want to kill them as quickly as possible. You don't want to drag out the fight like I've said. And since I'm on high ground here, I kept it just because I still had some gliders. But the only time you really want to ever go down in a build fight, like right here, is when I know for sure they're not going to be able to get high ground back, except for they had that launch pad, which I wasn't ready for. And I could have gone for a trap right there in that situation, but I decided to just go for the shot, which I did hit him for 110. So now I'm just trying to go for high ground once again. And so I'm building up. I'm still cautious that he has a teammate, and which this teammate is shooting at me right there. And I'm getting sprayed from multiple different angles. And if I'm not able to get the high ground right here, it's alright, because there's only 2 other players left in this fight, and there's a ton of builds. So it really doesn't matter too much. I'm able to just drop down and then to play a little bit of low ground, just because there's only 2 players. But if there was 4 players, then I would have for sure gone for high ground again. So I dropped pretty far down, and from down here I wanted to get off my heels, and then once I get off my heels then I can go for the fight once again. So I hear him building around me, so here I'm just going to box in, and when I'm boxing in, what I want to do is I kind of want to expand. Either I want to go for the shot on this player, or I want to expand a little bit. If I expand, I mean just put a box next to myself, which is going to make it easier to get away if everything goes wrong and they get inside of my box, or if I'm getting sprayed by the second player. But his teammate wasn't yet pushing, which is the best time to go for a fight because it is so much easier to win a 1v1 than it is to win a 1v2. So I had this player here, I had him knocked. I was trying to get off a mini first, because once I get off the mini and then him dying, it would put me back to full HP. But his teammate ended up dying to fall damage. I'm not really sure exactly what he was doing because there was a ton of launch pads around, but he ends up killing himself and I end up winning the game with 16 kills. And with that being said, that's wrap up for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, hope you guys liked it, and if you guys could drop a like on this video, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, turn on my notifications so you're notified for every single new video, and alright guys, I'll see you next video.